the people are doing. So, the camera review for the X100 Pro. I promised I'd make one, so here it is. Well, why even make one though? You see, I already made a review for the X100 Pro. You can check it out, playlist is in the description. But fact is this, the cameras, the quality and stuff like that, you know, the picture quality, the portrait quality, the night mode quality, the video quality, all the stuff, I went through most of it on in a generalized fashion, I guess you could call it, in the review itself. It was fairly thorough, I guess, but there are a lot more things that we gotta take a look at. I think it deserves a proper spotlight because it can do so much more and it provides so much more than any other smartphone that I've ever used that it's pretty insane. So let's jump right in. So the whole point of this is to really talk about these camera modes and just the options that you have in there. And well, I'm going to take just a few moments to talk about the color profiles because I get it, I talk about it in basically every camera comparison review that I've made. But let's face it, the versatility you have here is pretty insane. There's no two ways about that. I think each of these has a particular place because the vivid color profile, it would cater to someone who likes vivid colors. Pretty obvious. Same goes for Zeiss natural colors, it caters to someone like me. And I know there are more people like me who really want natural colors coming from their devices and the photos that they take. That's exactly what it's for. It's by far the best authentic natural color profile that I've ever used in my entire life. And I don't think that's about to change because I don't see many other companies really trying for something like that. Xiaomi tries for like authentic, but that's not quite as natural as the X100 Pro. And then textured mode. See, this is an interesting thing that Vivo has done here. Previously with the X90 Pro, I clearly remember textured mode being, you know, something that I just kept on all the time, especially with the main camera because it gave us really nice rich contrast. With the X100 Pro, Zeiss natural colors already gives us a lot of contrast. The contrast balance is impeccable on the X100, just to be very clear. But textured mode will take it to a different level altogether. It's a very stylized mode that you don't want to use all the time. You can if you want to, but even for someone like me who likes high contrast, I didn't really find it to be all that appealing every single time. However, I think that it could be improved upon. Not by adjusting the colors or the contrast, nothing like that. Vivo should let us take both Zeiss natural colors and textured mode photos together, just like we take JPEG and RAW photos together from Pro mode. If that option existed, can you just imagine, whether you like vivid mode or Zeiss natural colors, it doesn't even matter, but if you take a regular photograph, you can also get a copy of textured mode photos with the ridiculous high contrast, highly stylized look. And there will be images that when you look at it with textured mode, you'll be like, wow, I didn't expect it to look that good. But anyways, I probably took way too long with that. Let's talk about the portrait mode because this is something that I feel deserves a metric ton of attention. It is something else. I'm not just talking about the quality and stuff like that. I already talked about that before. You see, there are a plethora of focal lengths that you can use, and every single focal length that you choose, you're gonna get impeccable results. As long as you have like even good enough indoors lighting, you're gonna get incredible results. I've tested it out in numerous occasions under different lighting conditions. I made a lot of camera comparisons with this phone at this point, and I can very confidently say that the portrait mode is absolutely stellar. But you see, on top of all this, we get this delicious icing of options and versatility that it doesn't really exist on any other smartphone if you think about it. Because you have something called a portrait lens package. It's essentially a combination of a certain color profile or a filter. You could call it a filter, but I think they're fine-tuned it to the point that I think we should give it the respect it deserves. These are color profiles, not just cheesy looking filters, at least not most of them. And what it basically does is that Vivo has taken and they have used their own judgment to give us a filter, a focal length, and the specific style of bokeh that might look best when put all together. And that's kind of a very nice thing, especially for someone who might not really want to fiddle around with all the settings, unlike me, and really try out every single one and then decide which one looks the best. This can be a very good place for you to start if you want to try out these color profiles. You can absolutely go completely granular and take just the exact specific type of photograph that you want with the specific color profile of your choice, your own focal length of choice, and the exact type of bokeh that you want, because there are a lot of options for the bokeh. And that level of options and that level of versatility, I'm telling you, it just doesn't exist in any other smartphone. You can get bits and pieces of these in different smartphones, but all together like this, it just doesn't happen. And the real benefit should be pretty obvious. You get to use these options and these stylistic modes in the official camera app, which means that you get the full power behind Vivo's processing, which means the ISP, the processor, the fine-tuning with the software, everything works together and gives you optimal results every single time. But yeah, I think at this point you can understand just why, for someone who is enthusiastic about photography, about portrait photography in particular, this smartphone is beyond impressive. Like, I genuinely cannot stress enough just how far you can have fun with the smartphone whilst also getting very good, high quality, consistent photographs when you really need regular photos. And then of course I also wanted to touch on the macro mode because I think it's done exceptionally well here. So we have the regular ultra wide macro, which, as you should know, you can just take it on any other smartphone and you can do the same thing on the X100 Pro. Nothing special here. But what you can do is use the 4.3x telephoto lens for macro, which is good. That's, you know, a nice thing to have. But it's not all that impressive, let's be honest. You can't really get as close as you can even with the ultra-wide on the X100 Pro itself, so why use it? Well, you see, Vivo recognized this problem completely and they baked in a ridiculously high quality sensor crop, which means an 8.66 zoom, technically speaking. And you get basically optical zoom levels of quality. It's that good. It's really nice to see that a camera that already produces such high quality results, they are not just limiting it to regular photos or regular videos. They're allowing us to do things that other smartphones just aren't doing at all. And there are things that are wrong with this camera. I'll get to that. There are problems, obviously, and I do have some complaints. Let's talk about a few of those. And look, I'm not going to go too in depth into just how good the photo or the portrait quality is. It's fantastic. Simple as that. You get incredible detail preservation, you get incredible colors, you get very consistent results through and through, whether it's medium lighting, good lighting, backlit conditions. And if you really want to dive deep into these details, by all means, check out some of the camera comparisons I made. I did go much deeper into the details there. This video is not quite meant for that purpose, at least. But anyways, let's take a look at the problem, shall we? So, the video. Now, initially you might think, well, it's a Vivo smartphone that is catered towards photography, so video might be the problem itself. That's not the case. Not by a very long shot. I compared this against the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and for I guess 95% of the videos that I took, this baby was on par. There were certain instances, like I very distinctly remember this, the night mode video, or the nighttime low light video that I took, this one outclassed the iPhone 15 Pro Max by a mile. I don't exactly know how that happened or why it's so much better at night somehow, but it did. And it blew my mind when that happened, and even to this day, it still blows my mind. The quality itself is fantastic, but I think when it comes to stabilization, at least as compared to the iPhone, and look, at this point, it got so close to the iPhone, I'm just gonna assume that it's almost as good, and so every little place it lacks is where Vivo needs to improve. Because they're really up their game. I didn't really expect this to happen. They didn't even advertise the damn thing as much with the video department. It blows my mind. Anyways, I think the stabilization is definitely a place where Vivo could do a little bit more work. Like, there are a lot of times when I felt like some jerks were coming into the video when I was comparing it against the iPhone, and so that's definitely one small place to improve. Also, you have the other options that you get. You do get very good, very high quality 8K, stabilized 8K video with this. You can basically walk around and shoot 8K video instead of 4K. Is that good? But the problem is, you have the hardware for 8K ultra-wide video, which can look stunning if done right. And Vivo has the opportunity, or they had the opportunity to do it right, but they didn't. We only get 8K with the main camera, and that is kind of disheartening, because for a phone that is basically built around quality, consistency and versatility, the three main pillars that constitute this bloody camera, it's kind of sad to see that we don't get ultra-wide 8K. It's a niche feature, I get it, but still, I would have liked to see it. And I'm kind of surprised that Vivo didn't include this with just how far they've gotten with their video quality. I'm very surprised here. We don't get any high quality super stable video. We get it with 1080p, and at this point I think it's more than tried and proven that we can indeed have very high quality Quad HD plus resolution, and we can get very good stabilization with that, even super stable type of stabilization. So why not just implement that here? That's definitely something that they missed out on. Now, another thing was sharpening. You see, this actually applies to both photos and videos. Now, I get it. A lot of people really despise the processing artifacts and the sharpening artifacts that can happen when your smartphone is sharpening things a lot. I get it. I don't like it either, but I think this phone strikes a very beautiful balance between the two. It basically toes the line between sharpening and over sharpening to the point that it is just sharpened enough that you get the maximum amount of detail that these sensors can produce without actually looking over sharpened. That only goes for 90% of the time. There are instances when, let's say, like if you do a 10x zoom, which is already a hybrid digital crop, then you might see over sharpening. However, the problem does reside in videography. You see, in videos, naturally the quality is not going to be as good for every frame that we take. It's not going to be as good as every image that we take with these cameras, right? So the sharpening needs to be dialed down proportionally. It doesn't happen like that. The sharpening is a little too much in videos. I think, in my opinion at least, the sharpening is good enough for photos, but with videos, it definitely takes a hit. There is another thing that I would like to address with the video. Now, it's not a complaint, to be completely fair, and it's not going to apply to most people that might even be considering this phone. But I think, with just how high quality the video is in general, it could really use a log mode. Now, at this point, you guys might be familiar with just how good the iPhones, the latest iPhones log ProRes video can look like. It's magical. Just how far you can color grade it, just how far you can go with it in general, it's worthy of a chef's kiss. It works really well on the iPhones, and I think it could work just as well on this phone, if only it had it. But then with the night mode, see, now this is where I actually have a genuine complaint. This might be a personal complaint, sort of, I guess, but my problem is with the night sky. I talked about this in the review as well, but man, that night sky is just so bright and so blue sometimes that it blows my mind. And it's not all that consistent with that either. Sometimes there have been more than enough instances to the point that I feel like when we have lights in the foreground, like in the image itself, I feel like that's usually when the X100 will produce darker night skies, just higher contrast in general. Maybe that's just how the processing works. But when we have just a generally dark situation that you're photographing, which also happens to have the night sky in it, it's just gonna look weird, man. It's so bright and so blue. It looks very unnatural and very unpleasing to my eyes. I know some people might like that. It's fine. Now, you can actually go even further with it. You can use enhanced night sky, which makes, in my opinion, again, my personal opinion, I think it makes it look even more ridiculous. But yeah, I think what Vivo really needs is, it's fine. Keep the enhanced night sky, keep the bluish looking night skies. Some people might like it, that's fine. But since they have this whole thing going on about versatility, why not also give us a de-enhanced night sky? Is that even a word? I don't care. What I'm saying is that give us an option for a realistic night sky, essentially giving us generally darker night mode photos, unsaturated night sky. It does not need to look a royal brilliant blue. It's unnecessary. That's not how night skies look almost ever. So, if Vivo is going to really go down this path of absolute versatility and options for all, then maybe give us some form of realistic night mode preset or something like that. I think it could work out exceptionally well. Oh, guess what? I just remembered another complaint I have for the X100 Pro. It does not have 4K 120. The S24 Ultra has it, thankfully. And did you know that the OnePlus 8 Pro, which I think came out around 3 years ago, that phone had 4K 120. Impressive, right? And it was genuinely high quality, way higher quality than any 1080p 240 video you can even get from the best videography devices to this very date. And then the selfie video is just, it's a very conceited situation at this point, because I do know that the China versions, or the Chinese ROM versions that the X100 Pro has in the world, they got an update that gave them 4K 60 with the front cameras. Now, the front camera videography is insanely good on the X100 Pro already. So it's kind of unfortunate that we still haven't gotten it. I mean, it can't be that hard to implement in the global versions, right? Like, why is it taking so long? Once this phone gets 4K 60 on the front camera, it would be a vlogger's dream, because you can do so much with these cameras and then also take absolute banger selfie video. I mean, damn, what else would you need? Now, I do want to leave you with one little thing. My absolute unadulterated favorite feature in any smartphone camera app ever made to this very day. There exists nothing else that can quite get there. If you have seen some of my older videos that I made with, let's say, the X80 Pro, or I think even the X90 Pro, I'm of course talking about the one and only night mode styles. Oh dear Lord have mercy, because man, night mode styles are just so impressive. I love it. I absolutely adore that they still give us this beautiful option, and they have added some stuff in recent years. It works so well, and it produces such beautiful images and such stylish images that I'm telling you, man, I am absolutely in love with night mode styles. I think it is one of the best things to exist in smartphone camera apps. Like, this thing has impressive portraits and incredible versatile options in there with all the different color options and the bokeh options and all that jazz. But the night mode style still takes it for me. I still think it's my absolute favorite because I really enjoy taking night mode shots, and with this, you can really just go ham. And there are no other phones that can go ham with night mode. The camera has everything you would expect, every bare minimum necessity that you could ever want from a flagship, and then so much more on top. And you can use it if you want. And if you don't care about it, then don't use it. Overall in cameras, I think it's gonna be amongst the top 3 at the very least in 2024. I could be wrong, and if actually I am proven wrong, I'd be the happiest man alive, because if I can get an even better camera, by all means give it to me. I'll test it and make more camera comparisons. Bloody love this thing. So anyways, fact is this. I really like this camera. I really think, even from my personal use and my personal preferences, this camera really caters to it. And look, you can call me a fanboy if you want. It doesn't matter. The images speak for themselves, and I don't really care if you call me a fanboy. So anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow with many more to come. Cheers.